Hey guys, it's Delisa. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday. And the funniest part about this is Thursday is like my favorite day of the week. I usually have a day to myself. That is not the case today. You are here viewing Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo's presentation of Wholesaling Real Estate Mini Bootcamp, Session 4. Today is a session I guarantee you a lot of you are going to get a lot out of it. So please grab your pens, grab your papers. Let's get into this. Let's get ready to move it, as my granddaughter likes to say. We are going to get into this and hopefully you will get something out of it. Today is going to be about numbers and contracts. That's it. I'm going to try and get you into this as quickly as we possibly can. I really need you to make sure you're taking notes. Write down your questions because at the end, I want to go over all questions because I may answer your question throughout this process. Now, as always, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. I am Delisa Robinson, CEO and owner of Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo. We are a full service real estate investment firm. And when we say full service, we mean real estate sales, both retail, which is on the market, wholesale, which is off the market. We do real estate investments where we've partnered up and invested our money in other projects, and people have partnered up with us and invested their money in our projects. We do investment lending, which is your hard money loans, your private lenders, and even some of your traditional lending mortgages. We also do portfolio building and management, and that is a separate class that we've decided to bring to the forefront. Portfolio building, we're going to go over that because there are a lot of people who contact us regarding building a portfolio for rental property and how to manage that property. We no longer manage property. We do, however, help you manage your portfolio by telling you when to buy, when to sell, and what to hold on to and for how long. We're also big advocates of social media marketing, so you might see our ads all over the place after you've clicked here or there to say, hey, how are you guys over at Tag 716 doing? And then you see our ads and they seem to follow you wherever you go. We also have our Tag 716 Network and Masterminding Group where we do our business consulting. Right now we have it up. Go over there and post your business and let us know how you are doing, and if you need our services or our help, we'll be more than happy to help you guys out. In the meantime and in between time, let's continue on with wholesaling real estate. Our mini boot camp has seen it's gotten quite the traction, I should say. And yesterday we went over numbers and we said numbers matter. Today we're going to review those numbers again because this is the most important part of any wholesaling network that you could possibly get into. And that is the calculation of the numbers. Okay, so what we have to do right now is this. We are going to review the numbers that we did yesterday, and we're going to add another number to it that's most important to you as a wholesaler. So first, let's go back over calculating the ARV. If you were here yesterday or you reviewed the video yesterday, if you haven't seen the video from yesterday, but you're back and you're new today, go to our YouTube channel, Tag 716, and you can review all of our videos in this series. This is session 4. They're all labeled, and it tells you what we cover in each session in the description. So we try to be as helpful as we possibly can. Why do we call this a mini boot camp with as much information as we give out? Because in our 4-week boot camp, we give out way more information. That is why. So after the repair value, the ARV, these are the calculations you will need when you're working with buyers and sellers. We have focused on the seller portion. We are still focused on the seller side. We will start the buyer side tomorrow. You guys need to know the seller side because that's where most of your negotiation is going to happen. That's where most of the numbers are going to come in play. ARV stands for after repair value. We here at Trinity, we use a 416 strategy for comparable properties. That's called comps. Now, here's what a comp is, and a lot of people get confused with this. A comp is not 4 bedrooms if you're looking at a 3-bedroom. A comp is not 2 bedrooms if you're looking at a 4-bedroom. Those are not comps. They have to have the same characteristics. And the characteristics are same number of bathrooms, same number of bedrooms, possible same or close to square footage. Now we use the square footage calculation within 300 less or 300 more. 300 less or 300 more. How that works, if you have a 1,500 square foot house, 1,200 would be 300 less, 1,800 would be 300 more. And that's the ratio we use to try and figure that part out. That's a comp. If I have 4 bedrooms, then I'm comparing 4 bedrooms. If not, I have to deduct a certain amount of money for that. And that's something you get into a real estate, you get to with your real estate agent partner on, because that's what they're there for, to help you figure that out. Now, within a 1 mile radius is a circle. Your house is in the middle, your subject property, the property you're trying to wholesale is in the middle, and you do a complete 1 mile radius. That is what appraisers do. That's why it's called a comp. And it has to have sold within the past 6 months. 6 months from the date you're on. So you can't go back a year and say, well, this house sold for 400. Well, a year ago, the market probably said it deserved to sell for 400. Now it's only selling for 3. And get ready to do this a lot, especially in this pandemic. Because once we come up out of this, a lot of people half the people are predicting a crash in the real estate market, and the other people are saying, no, it's going to get better. It's going to open up. It's going to be fine. We don't know who to believe because this has never happened to us before. So we don't know who to believe. But what we do know is that we will see. Everybody will have proof in a minute. So it doesn't even matter what people say or do or try to say or do, right? Right. So our example was the 4 homes that sold that totaled $919,900. Then we divided that by 4. We got $229,975. The average of your 4 highest comps that have sold within a 1 mile radius in the last 6 months is your ARV. It's so simple. Don't overthink this process. It's not that hard, okay? Then some people use the 70% rule. I don't. I use 60. Why do I use 60 versus everybody else in this industry using 70? Because I've worked with some lenders, and these lenders tell me the lowest they will lend is 60%. That is your worst case scenario. So if you know the worst case scenario, that's what you have to budget for, just in case you're dealing with someone who's not going to be at 70%, who may not be getting 75%, who may not even get 65%. So I use the worst case scenario, which is 60%. So you would multiply $229,975 by 70%. That equals $160,982.50. That is your 60%. That's your 70% rule. Or if you're like me and you use 60%, it would come out to $137,985, which is a 60% rule. What that means is, once the home is finished, the bank will loan you 60% of the equity in the home. Or if the ARV, I'm sorry, scratch that, not the equity, the ARV. So if the ARV is $229,975, the bank will loan you at 60%, $137,985. Here's the catch. If you don't owe anything on the house, you just got $137,000 to go and do another project with. But say you owe some money on this house. Say you owed $80,000 on this house, and the bank is only going to loan you the $57,985. Still a lot of money if you know how to work this right. But that's why they do that calculation, to see how much they only give you 70% of the ARV, 60% of the ARV. So you need to know what that number is going in so you can help negotiate with your buyer. Because the buyer is going to ask you, what's the ARV? And if you've already tried wholesaling on your own before you got any type of guidance or coaching or mentoring, and you didn't know how to calculate ARV, or a buyer hasn't asked you what the ARV is yet, hold on to your sheets because it's going to happen. Okay? You have to know the ARV. You should know how to calculate it. So when you market your property should have the characteristics of the home. This is a 4-bedroom ranch. You need to know your home styles. This is a 4-bedroom colonial. This is a 4-bedroom cape. Those are simple. You don't have to have that in there, but it lets people know you know what you're talking about. So if you have a 4-bedroom home, I have a 4-bedroom single family home in, I don't know, Snellville, Georgia. Okay, the comps are here. The ARV, they don't want to know the comps. They want to know the ARV. They're going to say you have a 4-bedroom home in Snellville, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths in Snellville, Georgia. My ARV is $229,975. They're going to ask you how you got that. So keep the comp sheet that you run it on. You should have a file for every single property that you are wholesaling. You should have an electronic file in your computer, in your laptop, on a shared drive, on an external hard drive, wherever you want to keep it. But you need to have a property, that file, and that file should be labeled the property address. Keep it simple. Kiss it. Now, we used to say, keep it simple, stupid, but that's rude now. I have 2 granddaughters that run around the house tell me, oh, that's a bad word. So I can't say that anymore. So we just keep it short and simple. Okay? Keep it short and simple. Kiss it. Don't overwork. Don't make this harder for yourselves than it has to be. I am a pure advocate of working smart, not hard. And then inside that folder should be the purchase agreement, the assignment contract, any photos that you have of the property, any notes that you've taken for the property. Oh, you noted the contractor's estimate. All of that stuff should be in that file, which is a folder on your laptop, desktop, phone, tablet, wherever it is. But you should have a file, and the file should be labeled the property address. All right. I'm hoping you guys are getting this, because I want to make sure that we are very much into getting this done and properly, and getting it done properly. Okay. All right. All right, so now the next thing we're going to encounter is the cap rate. Cap rate is something simple. This is more what you're going to need on the buyer side. You're not going to need this when you're dealing with sellers because they're selling the property. You might ask the seller, do they know the cap rate? I'm going to guarantee you 9 out of 10 of them are going to tell you no. Unless you're buying it from an investor, a real estate investor, a homeowner is not going to know. Like, what's the cap rate? If you find one that knows, it's going to be very, very rare. So the cap rate is just your net income divided by the purchase price. So net income is gross rent minus expenses, just like your paycheck. Gross income minus the taxes. Net income is net rent. And if you think about that as your paycheck, anything that says gross is what you gross before taxes, net after taxes. So it's gross, what I took in, net, what I spent. Same thing in real estate. Okay, so in our scenario here, the cap rate, the net income is $5,980. We are purchasing this property for $50,000, which makes our cap rate 11.96%. And what did we say yesterday? Anything over what? If anybody remembers. If anything over what particular cap rate is good? 8%. You are so right, Jackie. Thank you. 8% is good. So you want to make sure that your cap rate is over 8%. Now, who remembers the 1% rule? Everybody does. This rule indicates rent collected should total 1% of the purchase price. So if your purchase price is $150,000, 1% is $1,500, which means the rent collected should total $1,500 per month. So if you have a single family home, you should be renting it for $1,500. You have a duplex, you should be renting it for $750 for each unit. You see what I'm saying? Or more. So that's the 1% rule. Now, any questions about these calculations? Because we are going to definitely go back over them, but we are going to also get on with the next major calculation. No questions, no questions? Okay, great. We're gonna go to the next calculation, which is your max allowable offer. These are this is the calculation you're gonna need the most. The max allowable offer. So we took the ARV from the previous calculation, 229,975. The ARV times 65%. 65% because it's in between the 70 and the 60 that most banks will give you, minus the repair costs equals what an investor will pay. That is your max allowed offer. So in this scenario, it'd be $229,975 times 65%, which would equal $149,483.75, minus the $50,000 repair costs to get the property up to the ARV, and you are at $99,483.75, your max allowable offer. This is what an investor will pay for that property. That's not what you're going to offer the seller. That's what you're trying to get from your investor, your buyer. Okay, so now you need to negotiate your price with the seller. You have to know what the max amount is that a buyer will give you, and also put it down, try to get it low enough so you make something in between. So in this case, we use Miss Susie. We're going to go back to Miss Susie's house yesterday. Sorry. Now, if Miss Susie says she wants $50,000, and John the buyer says, "I'll give you 75," you're good because you're still under that 99,000. Whatever price you give Miss Susie, you need to add your desired assignment fee to it before you market the property. You picking up what I'm putting down here? Before you market that property, you need to put your assignment fee in the price. So if Miss Susie says, "I'll sell it to you for 60 and I'm firm and I'm not moving," and your assignment fee is 65,000, you can't accept less than 5,000. You can't accept less than 65,000 because she wants her money. She wants 60, you want 5. So the minimum price you can accept is 65. Now in this equation, we can go up to 99,000. So what you're going to do is list this property at $100,000. Why not? Because you know that's what they're going to pay you. Now, if you list it at 100 and they give you 75 or 80, at 75 you made 10 grand, at 80 you made 15. You still have room to negotiate between what Miss Susie wants and what John the investor wants to pay. Any questions about this so far? I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to take a few questions. Any questions about this portion, max allowable offer? Any questions about this? Because I don't want to move forward and you guys don't understand what we're doing here. And then we end up going into contracts and contracting and writing up contracts, and then you get lost in it. So if you have a question now, When you say list the property, is that with a realtor? Absolutely not. If it's a wholesale deal, no. When I say list a property on a wholesale side, that's you marketing that property for sale. That means you will have it listed in Marketplace, listed on Craigslist, listed on your Instagram, listed on your Facebook, listed on your TikTok, your Snapchat, and everywhere else you have a personal and business social media account. This is the same one you are going to send to your email list of buyers to let them know that is available. You are actually going to send them a link of a PDF that you created with all of this stuff in it. And that's what you get when we go to the full-fledged boot camp. We teach you how to market and create those marketing materials. We do all that. So if this is something that you want to get, you want the most people to see this property. And you want them to see it constantly. You want them to always know, hey, this is available. And when you list it, you're going to say, when you market this property, you're going to give the characteristics of the home, the price that you want that includes your assignment fee, and you're going to put it out there. You're going to market it to everyone that you know and see and care for. You're also going to ask, can you put a lockbox on that house if it's vacant? If it's vacant, why do you need the owner to keep coming to you? Let's just leave it right there for a minute. So that's all in marketing, and we'll get into that probably more so next week, or actually it starts tomorrow. Marketing starts tomorrow. So you will note how motivated this seller is once you know what your max allowable offer is. I know I'm not offering, an investor won't offer me more than $99,000. So I'm going to offer it, market it to my investor at 100, and I'm going to try and negotiate her down as much as I possibly can. Now, what investor do you know? First of all, you got to think about it this way. If they're paying $100,000 and then they still have to add that $50,000 repair cost, that's $150,000. Subtract it from the $229. They're making a $70,000 profit, almost 80. That's a good profit for any flipper. Any flipper that flips a house is an absolutely good profit, and it's enough equity for anybody that's buying it to hold on to it to rent it out. Usually you want to have at least $50,000 left over for them to make in order for them to sell it. You always want to think the mindset of a flipper. You don't want to get caught up in, oh, she's going to be living in the house. Oh, she's going to be renting. She's just a landlord. You don't want to get yourself caught up in that. What you want to do is you want to keep your mindset in, my guy, my girl, he is an investor. They're going to flip this house eventually. How much money will they make when they flip it? Even if they're not going to flip it right away, you always keep in mind they will flip this house. So if they can flip that house, they're going to say, well, how much can I make right now? And this is where most investors think. You don't make money when you sell a house. You make money when you buy it. That is when you make your money as an investor. When I buy this house, how much money am I getting in equity? How much money am I getting if I flip it right away? How much money can I get? Because you think about it, you know this house will sell for $100,000. Imagine you, the investor, you get Miss Susie down to 50. She's like, I just want 50,000. I can walk away from this house right now. So you give her 50 and you sell it to your person, your end buyer, for 75,000. They might hold on to it and say, you know what? I don't even want this house. And they sell it for 100. They make 25,000. You get what I'm saying now? Or if they decide to flip it, they're going to make 70 or 80,000. They might decide to rent it out, they might decide to do a $10,000 renovation and rent it out for 2 years, then flip it. Think about if they rented it out for $1,000 for 2 years, that's $48,000. I'm sorry, that's $24,000. Then they sell it. Yeah, it's a lot. See, there's different ways you got to think of this, but you always want to think my investor, who is my client, my investor is going to flip this house. That's what you want to always think about. So you have to help them make their money on the front end. When they buy the house, they have to instantly walk into equity, or this doesn't work. You have to be the wholesaler. If you want to be the wholesaler that's known, wholesaler that's popular, wholesaler that's making constant money, or the wholesaler that's in just got a cash flowing business, you have to have 1, the quality properties, 2, the best prices, and 3, the knowledge. And you have to have that special knack that a lot of wholesalers get into this business don't even possess. And that is, how do I make this work for everybody? How do I make this process work for everyone involved? Where Miss Susie is happy, wholesaler is happy, John the buyer is happy. And you know what makes that work? Money. If Miss Susie is happy and she got what she asked for, she got $50,000 out of the deal, she's happy. If your investor John got this property for $80,000, when he knows he could have paid $100, he should have paid $100 for it, he's happy. And you just made between $80,000 to $50,000 with Miss Susie and the $80,000 with John. You just made 30 grand. I hope you're happy. If you're not, something wrong with you. How are you not happy making $30,000 in 1 month when some people don't make that in a whole year? So now you're happy. That contract is done, right? So this is how you need to know. Once you know your max allowable offer that an investor will pay you for the property, you now need to work on Miss Susie and see how motivated she is to sell her property. So how soon are you looking to close? What are you looking to walk away with? When can I arrange the next showing for me and my partners? Who are your partners? Your buyers. So you are going to arrange 1 showing, especially if it's in a popular neighborhood and it's a popular house, 1 showing. And then, and especially if it's occupied, you only want to disturb tenants once. So you're going to organize a showing. You're going to reach out to your investors. Do not rely on just text messages and emails. Pick up a phone and call your investors. If you text them and they don't respond, you pick up a phone and call the next group. Call the ones that didn't respond. I send out an email to all of my investors weekly. This is what I have coming up. And you know what they say? Oh, okay. I'm interested in this one. I'm interested in that one. When are you showing this, and the other? Now you know who's interested in what. And then once I send it out to them, I schedule the showings. I see how many people are interested. Then I say, if I get a bunch of when are you showing it, then I know I need to schedule a showing right away. And I send out 1 email to everybody who responded. And then I follow up with a text message. I sent it in a text, but here's an email as well. Or I sent it in an email, here's a text as well. You have to be very proactive. And this is why I say you might need an assistant depending on how quickly your business grows. You're going to have your staff grow with you. So if you need a partner, get a partner. But get a partner whose strengths matches your what? Weaknesses, because we all have weaknesses. Now, by asking these simple questions, you get an understanding of how motivated the seller is to sell the property. So you need to know if she says, well, I want to be out of here by June and it's April, you need to close in 30 days. You don't have time for financing. You get what I'm saying? Or I've decided to move into a retirement community, or I've decided to move to Florida so I can be with my grandkids. Whatever the motivation is, that's their pain point. I can't see my grandkids. So when she gets stuck on the higher price, when she's saying 60 and you want her to be at 50, you say, hey, you know what? I'm closing in cash. I'm not doing a home inspection. I don't need an appraisal. However, I do need to be in this property. I need this property as soon as possible. This can get you to your grandkids a lot quicker. If we close this deal for $50,000, you can have $50,000 within the next 2 weeks to 30 days, depending on where you guys live. and how soon your title company or attorney can get in a deal closed. So you make that your choice. And you make that part of your negotiation, and you ask her, how quickly do you need to see your grandkids? You always remind Miss Susie why she's selling. It's a mind game. Think about it, all the ads, all the commercial ads on TV. Nike, just do it. Coke and a smile, Pepsi Generation. All these ads that you know by heart, you know their slogans, you know their logos, you know what they sell. And they tell you, just do it. Nike makes you feel like you can do anything by putting on a sneaker. And that is not true, because none of us can dribble like LeBron. None of us can fly through the air like Michael Jordan. And none of us scoring 80 points like Kobe. So none of us is doing none of that. But we feel like we can when we buy a pair of Jordans, right? Right. So it's the same thing in this real estate business out here in these real estate streets. You have to do it the same thing. You have to make these buyers feel like you're relieving their pain. Oh, I miss my grandkids. I can't see my grandkids. You know, this house is too much for me. I'm old. I can't, you know, my wife left, my kids left. Everybody's, you know, my wife passed away. My husband passed away. My uncle died and left me this house. Whatever the situation is, we got divorced and now I have to sell this house. How quickly do you want to finalize your divorce? Ask the question, but ask it nicely. You know, I'm really sorry you're going through a divorce, but you know, how soon do you have to sell this property in order to be, before you're in violation of the court order that says you have to sell it? You find out what they need and you provide the need. That's how that works. Any questions about MAO, maximum allowable offer, or max offer allowed? Because it depends on who you talk to, but a MAO and a MOA is the same thing. Don't get confused by that. Any questions about this calculation? No, no, no. All right, no. Let's carry on. So, what terms do I discuss with the seller? And this is where we're getting ready to spend the better part of the rest of this presentation. You discuss the price. What price would close this deal right now? Time frame. How soon are you looking to close? Source of funding. Which do you prefer, cash or financing? And trust me, if you say that, they're going to say cash. But you need to know if financing is an option by how soon they need to close. So that's why you make it seem like it's an option when it's really not. So the price is $45,000. The time frame, we can close in 30 days as long as there are no title concerns. These are the responses to your questions, guys. And the source of funding. I am closing in cash, but still may require an appraisal or an inspection. The reason why you're going to say that is because you need to be able to show this property to your buyers or their representatives or their property managers or their partners, whoever it is. So if you need to come back more than once, here's your in. I am closing in cash, but I may still require an appraisal because I need to know how much the house is worth right now. I might still need an inspection because I saw something during my walkthrough that I want my inspector or my contractor to check out. You see what I'm saying? How you can get away from that. Well, if you're the buyer, why are you doing it? So a lot of wholesalers going and say they're buying it. That's not always true. Quit lying to the people. Say you got partners. Say you got a contractor coming through. Say you got a property manager that need to see it because they're going to be managing the property for you. Whatever the situation is, that's what you need to do. Okay? Now, let's write up your contract. This is where you're definitely going to need the pens, the papers, and everything else. Here are some tips. If or when you find an attorney or a title company that is wholesale friendly, you need to ask them for their preferred purchase agreement that you use during a real estate transaction for wholesaling. What is the preferred contract? Because not every contract is the same and not every state is the same. So when you are in your state You have to, must, please, I implore you, please ask your attorney or your title company which contract do they prefer you use. And I'll give you an example. My attorney, Rick, is a beast. He is a whole beast out here in these real estate streets. And if I asked him, the first thing I asked him, I said, well, what type of contract do you want me to use? He said, use a New York State standard contract. Or use this 2-page contract that he gave me, that I sent him. I said, well, I've been using this contract. He read it over. That's fine. That's what you have to do. It's called communication, people. Talk to your team. If you're going to use this person as your attorney, or you're going to use this company as your title company, you need to be in contact with somebody in that office that says, hey, who's my contact person for this? Who am I going to use? Who am I always going to be in contact with? What do you prefer I do? Because you need to make their job as easy as possible out here. And if I'm telling you, if you don't make their job easy, you're going to make your transaction hard. All right. So you want to know what purchase agreement they want you to use. You want to know what assignment contract they want you to use as well. You want to keep a blank copy of the assignment contract and of the purchase agreement on you at all times. If you meet a buyer at the house and you guys are one-on-one and he says, yes, I want to do it, here's a contract. Let's go to my hood of my car and write this out and sign that contract. Go home, print out another blank copy and put it in your bag for tomorrow. Because guess what? Now I have a signed contract. If you go view a house and Miss Susie agrees to Miss Susie says she wants $30,000 for it and you knew you was willing to pay $50,000, sign the contract. Oh no, Miss Susie, I'm going to go home and send you an electronic contract. Miss Susie not waiting for that, okay? It's going to take you a long time. Have the contract with you. It's different if you walk away from Miss Susie's house and you're at home and you crunching numbers, or Miss Susie is savvy in real estate and she knows what she's talking about and she didn't give you a price. It's different. Now you got to go home and do the numbers, but tell her, hey, I can bring this contract back to you tomorrow, or I can email it to you. What's your email address? And that's when you email it. So you always keep a blank copy of the contract with you at all times, okay? Please, please, please. And request a copy of your state's realtor contract. You need to know what your real estate agent, what contract do they have to fill out? Now, once you have a signed contract, you first have Miss Susie, I keep saying Miss Susie, you have Miss Susie sign the contract. Before she signs it, you're going to review the contract with her step by step, line by line. You're going to sign it. She's going to sign it. You're going to make a copy and give it to Miss Susie so she can give it to her attorney. Or you're going to say, you know what, Miss Susie, what's your attorney's information? You're going to go back to your office, go back to your home, and you're going to scan this computer into your computer, and you're going to email it to your attorney and Miss Susie's attorney so they know who the other attorney is. Now the two attorneys talk. You and Miss Susie have no more communication. Their attorney shouldn't contact you. Your attorney shouldn't contact Miss Susie. Attorneys only talk to attorneys. Your attorney, if there's an issue, will call you and say, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this. Miss Susie's attorney is going to call her. That's it. And you always, always advise your seller. It might be best for you to get your own attorney or your own title company or whatever it is. You need to have an attorney look over this contract. If they say, oh, I don't want to, we can just use your attorney. Make sure you put that in an email or you put that in writing somewhere and they've signed that. Because you don't want them coming back on you saying, oh, this shady wholesaler stole my house. No, that's not how that works. Your attorney helped me steal your house if that's the way you feel about it, but your attorney did it. That's the way everything goes back to that attorney. And if anything ever came up in a court of law, you had your own attorney. Most attorneys will not do both sides. Some will if they're experienced enough, but some won't. They'll make Miss Susie get her own attorney. Now, let's review the standard 2-page agreement. I am going to do that for you guys. We're going to Give me a minute here. Let me go. Here we are. So here's our standard 2-page agreement. Now, if you want, wait, hold on. I'm going to try and make this bigger so you guys can see it a little better. Got it? Great. Can you guys see that? All righty, you guys can see this, correct? Okay, great. Hey, Cynthia. Standard purchase and sale agreement. Now, this is a 2-page standard agreement. It's the same one that we use in our network, our Tax 116 wholesale network. It's the same one I use for all of my wholesale deals, unless my attorney advises me not to. Then I use the New York State contract that he prefers. Okay, so basically, you're going to fill in the blanks. And I'm going to scroll through this. I'm going to go back to the top and we're going to go over this pretty much line by line. Well, we got about 15, 20 minutes on our lunch hour, but so we're going to go through this and you're going to see it's very simple. There's not a whole lot. There's not much that I've ever added. I've only added a few things. I'm going to just hit the blanks, okay? So this purchase and sale agreement, hereby known as the agreement, is made on this day. Today is the 7th. You will put the 7th day of May 2020. That's how you fill that out. You put the number of the day, the month, and the year. You put Miss Susie, hereby known as seller, and or assigner, do hereby agree to sell to your company, not you. If you do not have your LLC set up, then you will put in your own name. But if you have your LLC set up, you will put this in the name of your company. So in my case, I agree to sell to Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo, hereby known as buyer or assignee. You see, that assigner and that assignee gives you permission to assign this contract to someone else. Referred to the premises located in Buffalo, New York, County of Erie. Well, you would say Buffalo, County of Erie, State of New York. Commonly referred to as, you put the property address. Okay, you need a legal description of the property. 2 bedrooms, 3 baths, 1,500 square feet, that type of deal. Buyer agrees to pay and seller agrees to accept the amount of $45,000 in cash at the time of closing for the premises payable as followable. A non-refundable standard earnest money deposit. Who thought of that? Oh, gosh. You see what I'm saying? It's in here. It's in the contract that it's non-refundable. Now, if you don't want to pay a earnest money deposit to Miss Susie, don't mention that part. Don't bring up money that they haven't asked for. That's when you deal with sellers. Now, when you do this same contract, if you do a double close, you will do this same contract twice. You will have one contract between Miss Susie, from Miss Susie to you, and the next contract is going to say from you to John the buyer. Okay, that's how you do a double close. It's that simple. So that amount, if you're not doing an EMD for Miss Susie, you'll put 0 to be placed in escrow with the attorney's office title company with the remaining balance of $45,000. Because if you didn't pay anything, you still owe that total balance. To be paid by check to the seller, subtracting any payments needed to clear the title, including but not exclusively any mortgages, liens, encumbrances, or holds against the title. Title of seller is to be conveyed by warranty deed, unless otherwise provided, and needs to be marketable and insurable, except for the rights reserved in federal patents. See what it says? Needs to be marketable, meaning you get to market the property. Building and zoning regulations, ordinances of any government unit, right of way and easement establishments for a record. The following terms and conditions agreed upon by both buyer and seller and any modifications or changes must be agreed upon by all parties in writing. That's the important part. Anything you change on this contract cannot be verbal with Miss Susie. You have to make it, you have to put it in writing. If this contract is already signed, you will need to do what they call an addendum to update the contract. Okay, so otherwise the ensuing party will be found in breach of contract, allowing the non-ensuing party, the ability to cancel the contract and have the EMD given to them. Okay, seller agrees to the following. Seller understands that the buyer's intention is to purchase the premises as an investment or find an end buyer and assign the agreement for a fee with all payments to be made by the end buyer. See that? Gives you the right to assign. Seller understands the buyer is acting as a principal in the transaction and is not working as a real estate agent or broker representing anyone. That is for my real estate agent friends. Basically, and if you need to switch that up to match your state, please do. Seller understands that this contract may only be canceled by agreement of the buyer and or the assignees, and the seller cannot market, attempt to sell, or rent the premises. If this property is vacant, I'm sorry, not blank, vacant. If this property is vacant, they cannot market the property, they can't put it up for sale, and they can't rent it out during your contract. And you have to make sure they know that. Now, and the seller understands that the premises must be accessible during normal hours for the buyer to allow for inspections and estimates and to be done, and a lockbox will be provided by the buyer that gives you permission to put the lockbox on the property, that gives you permission to have your inspections, appraisals, contractor estimates. All that stuff is, that one sentence covers all that stuff. Your seller understands that the buyer may advertise the premises in order to find an end buyer and or future tenant, and the seller will not compete with the buyer in this matter. So they cannot list their own property. And you have, it says here, seller understands that the buyer may advertise. You can advertise the premises in order to find a buyer or a future tenant. You can find a tenant. So in my case, I have clients that don't live in Buffalo who ask me to help them find tenants. If they're buying this property, I can start to promote this property for them to help them find tenants. See how that works? I love this contract. Everything is in my favor. The seller understands that the buyer may advertise. Okay, I just read that. Seller understands that they are to maintain the premises in as good as condition as possible from the date of the agreement is signed, and or will vacate the premises in order to allow for the buyer to maintain the premises. So you have a right to maintain the premises too. Either they're going to move out if they occupy it, they're going to move out, they're going to keep it up, or they're going to move out so that you can keep it up. Happens all the time, believe it or not. Seller hereby acknowledges that all negotiations and deadlines with the buyer have been and are at arm's length, and that no duress or undue influence has been exerted by the buyer over the seller or the seller's family in connection with this agreement. That just means the buyer is unknown to you. An arm's length deal means this person is not someone that's close to you, because I know somebody's going to ask me that. Seller is aware that the buyer is a real estate investor and is purchasing the premises to immediate and or concurrent resale and profit. See that? Now, here's what the buyer agrees to. The buyer agrees to purchase this property in as-in condition. As is condition. That means the seller is not going to do any work. They're not going to do any updates. They're not going to do any renovations. It is as is. So if you bought it and the foundation was crumbling and it's leaning, you knew that according to this, and you knew that they weren't going to fix it. So the seller is not being held for any damages or issues created prior to the agreement signing. Buyer understands that the buyer assignee will acquire title insurance and will do their due diligence to ensure a clear title. You have to purchase the title. You, the buyer, investor, wholesaler, you have to purchase the title insurance. So your end buyer must purchase that information, the insurance as well. So what you're going to do is everything that says buyer agrees to the following, you're going to copy and paste that and put it into your agreement with the buyer, your end buyer. So, and you're also going to add, when you'll see on the assignment contract where it says all this, you're going to add how much the price of the property is, and you're going to put your price, what you're charging. See what I'm saying now? That's how this works. We'll get into that when we do assignments and double closes later, but we'll do that. Tomorrow, we are going in order. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this. We are definitely going in order of how you do a wholesale transaction. So today we are securing and writing up the contract. Tomorrow we will go through marketing. On Monday, we will sell it to a buyer. We might even touch on selling it tomorrow, but yeah, we will. It'll be marketing and to a buyer tomorrow, so you'll know. Okay, and then Monday we'll close. That's how we'll do it. All parties agree. All parties understand the closing date will be on or before, and you have your date in there. And the closing agent is your attorney or title company. Okay? All parties understand that 30-day extension will be granted as needed to conduct the necessary due diligence. You have 30 days to sell this property. To clear title, to complete closings, documents, and or any inspections done that the seller buyer could not schedule sooner. See how this is done? I hear a lot of wholesalers saying, well, I only had 2 weeks to do the title search. I only had 2 weeks to do an inspection. Now my due diligence is over in 10 days. Stop stressing yourself out. Give yourself 30 days. You need a home inspector. Call them. You need the home inspector, so call them. Liability shall be limited to the property itself and shall not extend beyond. This agreement constitutes the entire agreement between the buyer and the seller regarding the premises and supersedes all prior discussions, negotiations, and agreements, whether oral or written. So once this contract is signed, anything else you guys discussed before that is null and void. This is a legally binding contract. Seller signs, buyer signs. You are the buyer at this point. You date it, and you give Miss Susie's lawyer a copy. You give your lawyer a copy. They both agree to it, and then we're done. Amazing! I got that done in under a little bit under an hour. Good job, Lisa. So now, as we always do, we go back here. We go back here. We include this. And we are done for the day. Any questions about contracts? Thank you for joining. You can start getting your closing. You can start asking any questions that you guys may have. You can start that. I am going to go through all of our social media outlets. Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo Inc. is on our Facebook page. Tag.716 is on our Instagram. Tag 716 is our YouTube channel where you can find this video posted either later today or first thing tomorrow morning. Tag 716_team is where we randomly tweet our tweets out on Twitter. We do have our affiliate, our Tag 716 Wholesale Network. Now, the Wholesale Network is a network nationwide of wholesalers that are JVing and partnering up with one another to make deals and make deals happen for our investors. Our investors love us, and we have a two-tier system with that. We also have a ton of education. Our wholesale network, they pay $36 a month to be a part of the network. They get all of our Tag 716 education materials for free. And they participate in that. They also get some leads out, and any deal that we partner up on, they get either a 60-40 split with them getting 40%, Tag 716 gets 60%, or they get a 75-25 split where they get 75%, Tag 716 gets 25. Don't ever forget, we do have our Lunch and Learn. We will continue to post our videos. If you cannot meet us at 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, you can most certainly review the videos on our YouTube channel at a later date. no matter your business, whether you are wholesaling to get money to start a future business outside of real estate, or if you want to continue with your real estate building business and make it a part of your empire, you can join our Tag 716 Network and Mastermind Facebook group. Answer the 3 questions and we will politely let you into the group, and we will share all of our business knowledge with you. That group is free to enter. There is no charge. We do, however, have specials that we run in that group on certain materials and merchandise that you can purchase at a discount. Now, interested in more of our wholesaling, this is what we said. Just DM if you just DM your email address to our Instagram page, tag.716, or our Facebook page, Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo, Inc., we will send you the link to get you started in the Tag 716 Wholesale Network. Tag 716 University will be out May 15th. I am so excited about this. This is free to our network members, but it is at a charge to anyone that is not a part of our network. So my ladies and gentlemen who participated in this session of Lunch and Learn Wholesaling Real Estate, our mini bootcamp session 4, what are your questions? First question I have, Jackie Brown, do I need my own attorney or is the one at the title company okay? That depends on your state law. And I'm going to give you an example. In New York State, we have to close with an attorney. Our attorney works with the title company. We don't have any access to them. The title company, an attorney has to review the contract and handle the transaction. Now, some states, you don't need an attorney to do that. So you need to look up whether or not your state or the state where you're doing business is an attorney state or a title company state or both. And that will determine which way you would go and move forward in the transaction. Susan, when do you advise an investor of an available property? Okay, Susan, we're going to go into this much detail tomorrow, but I am going to answer you right now. When you have a signed contract between you and the seller, that is immediately when you start marketing that property. That's when you tell every person on your email list about it. That's when you're going to tell every person in your network about it. That's when you're going to tell everybody about it. And you're going to give them the price at that same time. Nothing aggravates me more than house for sale, inbox me for the address, inbox me for this. You can politely say, you have a contract. It already says that nobody else can buy it, sell it, do it, whatever. You have a contract with someone. It's already been sent to attorneys. Attorneys are have already given the okay for the transaction to go through, or it's already with the title company and title company has already given the okay for the transaction to go through. You can now start to market that property. I start to market properties as soon as I have them under contract. Any other questions you guys may have? No. So if we don't have any other questions, we're going to wrap up our 1-hour session of Lunch and Learn. This video will be posted on our YouTube channel for you to go back and review. I will do you one better. Each one of you that reviewed this and attended, and I said attended because there are lots of people who register for these Lunch and Learns and they don't attend. Those of you that attended the session today will receive a copy of that contract, the purchase agreement that we just reviewed, so you can practice writing one up. All right. All right. See how well it is? That's why you stay till the end, because you need to know. That's why you attend. So I will send that contract out to you guys for all of you that attended. Thank you very much for joining us today on this episode of Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo's Tag 716 Lunch and Learn Wholesaling Real Estate Mini Bootcamp Session 4. Tomorrow we will go over, since we now have a property under contract, we will market the property, and I will teach you the many different ways to market your property. And I will also give you some insider tips on what works and what doesn't when you're getting ready to market that property. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you, doll. So if you guys do get stuck during your day and you can't remember something, just come back into our YouTube channel and review this video. And if you want more in-depth training, like I said, our wholesale network is there. We have a 4-week, in the 4 weeks, we do 2 to 3 hour training sessions of our wholesale workshop, our wholesale boot camp. That is going to start in June. We are bringing the wholesale boot camp back in June. June will, yeah, it's going to be in June. Because I hate starting a workshop in the middle of a month and then something happens like Memorial Day weekend. You guys are not going to be present. This process, the boot camp will be on Saturdays, and the video will be, if you purchase the boot camp, if you're not a member of the network and you purchase the boot camp, you will then be able to go into the portal and view it at your own pace. You don't have to do it with us, but we do like to have it live. So it will be live, and then we will then load the video later that day for the boot camp. All right. So you guys go out, be great, and I'll talk to you tomorrow at 1 p.m. for session 5, marketing and negotiating with the buyers. Talk to you soon. You guys have a great day.